Hi, this is Reginald Perryman. I'm going to go over a quick summary of how to do your direct mail marketing using the Michael Lewis marketing suite, as well as comparing your options for using Michael Lewis to mail your postcards and direct mailers, or using the US Post Office Everydoor direct option as well. So I'm going to show you how to briefly create a postcard and design it using Michael Lewis, as well as using a mailing option as well. And we'll also go over how to retrieve a database or a list to send your just sold and just listed postcards. Okay, so we're in the Michael Lewis marketing suite, and basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select the postcard. So for this particular property, it was a just sold. This is one of my favorite postcards I like to use. It's going to ask you to select a back template, meaning the back of the postcard. So I'm just going to go with a selection here. Now you're going to click edit. Make sure you check mail out if you're going to do a mail out. A handout basically means that you're going to receive a number of handouts, how many you order, so that you can physically deliver these to someone's doorstep or actually hand out to someone. So in Michael Lewis, you have an option. If you notice here, I can just say just sold. It's going to come up and I can edit that information. So for this property, I'm just going to say it didn't sell over asking price. So I'm just going to say sold in 9 days. I'll come here and put in the street. Okay, in the city and so forth. So I'm not going to bore you with all of the details. Just want to show you a quick editing scenario here. So I can delete this photo if I want, and I can click on this photo and I'll click upload and browse, and I would just simply find a photo in my database for the property on my hard drive here, or wherever you have it saved on your computer. And now it replaces that photo. I can also, once I hit apply, it's going to save what I have so far. I can add additional images, I can add text, and then it's going to ask me to edit the back portion. Here I can make edits to some of the information here, and most of this information is pre-filled based on how you set up your Michael Lewis account. I'm going to delete the duplicate logo there, and I can edit this information that's already in a template. Can even make this larger. So for example, I can click on that and highlight it, and I can change the size, and I would just have to simply take this and stretch it out so that it's more visible. But on a postcard, it's going to show up pretty well. At this point, I would just click apply, and then it would say save your work. Just whatever, and now you have it saved. So whatever you want to name your file, it's going to take a moment to save. You would then at this point click view, proof, and continue, and it's going to take you to this page. This is where you're just going to look over all your details to make sure everything is accurate. You can download a copy of the image. Now here you have an option, and this is very important. Here's an option to just purchase. You're going to be able to just purchase the PDF document file. So you can purchase the PDF and send this to a third-party printer to print however many copies you want, and you can either use them as mailers or handouts direct, and we'll go over that briefly here. You can convert to a handout, meaning that you just simply, you don't want any mailers, you don't want to mail them out, you actually want to hand them out yourself. And when you do that, you're just going to simply add to cart. And again, this is the handout portion. So, and I'll go back in a similar, and you would just enter the information you want. Most important thing is you want the quantity that you want, and this is what the cost is going to be per handout. So let's go back and convert this to mail out. Now, if you don't like anything you see on your proof, basically you would just go here to return to editor. So here I'm just going to click that. This option says mailing database. So you have two options here, right? Upload my database, meaning that you're going to upload your database using an Excel format. So for example, and this is where this becomes important. So I'm in RealComp. I just went to PRD. I put the property address in here. Make sure I have the county selected. I want residential properties only. And you can filter this page as much as you want. Always click add and remove, and I add homestead percentage and I put in 100%. I only want to mail to people that are claiming 100% homestead, meaning that they're potential homeowners. If I'm using this option, within a quarter mile, there are 415 matches, but I don't want all 115 people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit results. You'll see the list here. What I will basically do for this area is I'm going to go to the actual map, and RealComp is okay. Here we go. So you see the shape here, it's a circle shape, which is the radius. I'm going to delete this shape, and I'm going to choose one of these shapes here. I can go with a square or rectangle or whatever you prefer, and I only want these particular blocks. I can overlap a shape, and now you see it's 418. I can narrow it down a little bit more and get 300, whatever my count is, right? I'm going to hit results. I'm going to select all, meaning that it's going to give me all 303 people. I'm going to hit export, and I'm going to choose what I want. So if you just want, for instance, property taxpayer address, meaning that it's going to, the mailer will go to the person that's paying the property taxes, right? So you're going to have a mailing address, and you're going to have the actual physical address. So it's up to you. You can choose other options here. So as you can see down here, it changed to, it's going to open up in the Excel screen here, and it's thinking. So now I have my mailing list. I can save this, I can edit this, and if you notice, it has the owner's name, information, address. You really don't need all this other information for Michael Lewis. Basically, you just need the owner's full name, which is this slot here. And let me just, so it's the owner's first name and last name. And you can delete these others if you want. So you just right click, delete that column. If you don't know how to work Excel, just ask me or someone else in your office. And basically here, so you can just go here and you'll see the address, mainly city and state. So here's your list of potential homeowners that you would mail to. You would save this as whatever name you want to give it, blah blah blah, mail outs, or in this case I would do McIntyre mail outs. So I had 303 people. I would simply click here, choose a file, and I would go to wherever that database is. Let's say my mail out database, and you see, and you would name it in Michael Lewis and save and upload there. And once you hit add to cart, then you'll upload and basically you'll pay for it. It's self-explanatory from there. So here's the other option in database. You can request a mailing list from Michael Lewis, which is going to cost you 8 cents per record. Here you're going to put in the city, state, and information there, and how many you want. So let's just say you only want 200 people, and it's going to cost you 8 cents per record plus the cost of mailing, right? That's another option. They will generate the list for you based on the filters that they have available. So again, this is option number 1 and when you go in, they're going to give you other details that you can filter your list on. Probably not as detailed as Remind. So let's look at Remind. This service is free with Realcomp as of the date of this recording. So I don't want to get in trouble 2 years from now. So they have a free option and they have a paid option. You can look into it and figure it out yourself later. But right now, the good thing about Remind is you can see I have this entire area, and I can narrow this down as well. But for now, I'm just going to just look at the properties nearest me and nearest my actual listing that I sold. I'm going to go over here to the filter. So the first filter I want is ownership time. I want everybody that's owned their home 5 years or more. Then I'm going to hit apply. Right now, 608 results. Now that narrowed it down to 437 results. Next, I want to see their sales score. It may or may not matter for this area, and I don't know how accurate it is, but it gives you a head start. So if I apply the sales score, it's really only one person based on that. So I'm going to delete that information, and again, it's not 100% accurate, but I am going to look here at home equity. So they give you some template options, but I want people for this area, since it was, well, I want people with at least $20,000 in equity or more, meaning that there's enough to cover commissions and closing costs and things of that nature. In other words, there's room in it for them to sell. So that narrows it down to 303 people. You can show lists here, and then you can track them all, export them just like you did in PRD, and upload them to Michael Lewis. All right, so that pretty much explains that as far as preparing your postcard and preparing it for mailing. Now let's talk about the cost a little bit, and this is why you have to decide how many mailers you're going to mail out. Now if you're not doing, say if you're just doing a just sold, just listed postcard, or if you want to do a generic like prospecting postcard just to say, hey, we have buyers for the neighborhood or something like that, whatever the case may be, there's a cutoff point. My magic number is 500 mailers. So if I'm going to do 500 or more mailers, you may come out a little cheaper using Everydoor direct with the post office. So just to give you an example, so let's say Michael Lewis is costing you 51 cents per postcard. And if you're doing 500 mailers, now the convenient part about Michael Lewis is that once you put the information in, they're going to mail it, you pay for it and leave it alone, and it's convenient, right? You just have to get your list or pay them for the list. In that case, you're going to pay additional 8 cents per postcard for your mailers. So 500 comes up to $255, right? So let's just say I just picked the area here in Royal Oak, and I'm just going to use, so I'm on Everydoor Direct, EDDM.USPS.com. You basically go in here and register. This is the post office website. Costs you approximately 17 cents per mailer, but you still have to go to a printer to print your postcard. So here is here's the cost to mail to 517 people, but you still have to have your postcard. So I use All Pro Printing in Oak Park, for example. All Pro Color in Oak Park. I'm sorry. Well, they print too, but it's All Pro Color. It's going to cost me $140 for 500 postcards, and the disadvantage to mailing Everydoor direct is that you have to do this entire route. Now you can separate business and residential and do residential only, which leaves you 420 customers. Now the biggest advantage to Everydoor direct is that they guarantee delivery to these 420 people because these are people that the post office have actually, they verified these addresses. So you have to do the entire route. So if you're working a farm area, sometime your farm may be split up into 2 different routes and actually spill over to another subdivision or whatever the case may be. And some of the routes just don't make sense. Most of these are kind of in the same area, but you'll see some, like, for example, here, this will be part of the route, but then it may just, well, here's a perfect example. So you see I'm here. So you would think that this route would go straight up and down, but it doesn't. But if I click over here, this route covers this one. Oh boy, so this route covers this one small street highlighted in blue there. You can see it there. So if you're going to mail to this route, it's going to include this other street here that's on the opposite side of Main Street. But going back to what I mentioned about cost, so for instance, this route is 488 residential addresses, $86, and you're going to pay $140 for the actual postcards to be printed. So you're pretty close to that figure with the Michael Lewis. So let's go back to the calculator. So if I did 51 times 500, so I'm going to be at 255, which was my number, and here I'm at 140 plus the 86. So I'm actually spending more money. But here's where the biggest difference come in. Let's say I want to mail to those same 400 or 500 people every month or quarterly or whatever, right? And I'm going to use the same exact postcard. So instead of ordering 500 at a time, I order 2,500. Now my cost is only going to increase. It's going to calculate. So Mark, just bear with me 1 second. So it's only going to increase by $59, but I have 2,500 postcards that I can mail out every month, every quarter, if I'm using the same postcard. So with Everydoor Direct, and then I'm only paying the $86 per month. So let's say with Michael Lewis, I don't know why my calculator keeps disappearing. Well, let's say with Michael Lewis, if I wanted to mail out 2,500 pieces times 0.51, it's going to cost me $1,275, right? And if I did this every month, I'm only paying the 189, and I'm paying $86 per month for 5 months. So I'm coming out roughly $600-700 compared to $1,200. So just to give you an example, let's just say I wanted to cover a larger area, right? And I wanted to mail out to several routes and one mailer the same postcard. I'm just going to use this as an example because it's close enough. So $455 and the 189. So I'm at roughly about $655, right? And with Michael Lewis, it's going to be, that calculator keeps disappearing. So I'm roughly about $655 using Everydoor Direct for 2,500 postcards. And again, I want you to see the visual. So you're paying $12.75 for postage if you're using another way. So really, once you get above 500, or you're going to do consistent mailings, or you're going to do a large quantity of mailings and you're going to send them all out at once, it makes a little bit more sense to do Everydoor Direct. Now there's a few nuances that comes with doing Everydoor Direct. Of course, you have to mail to that particular route, so you can't cherry pick the people that you want to send these mailings to. It's going to go to everybody within that route, tenants and owner occupants alike. It does give you some stats based on the area. It's going to tell you how many people are within a certain age range and some other stats like that. When you go to different areas, it's going to tell you like household income and how many people are between 25 and 74, for example. And you can just increase this if you want. So you can just play with this. Now, the thing with Everydoor Direct, you will have to have all your postcards, bundle your postcards in stacks of 100. All Pro Color will bundle those for you. Some printers will actually bundle and mail them for you for an additional charge. So, but again, the thing you want to keep in mind is your overall costs and expenses. So basically, you go to Michael Lewis, you design your postcard, regardless of what it is you're sending out. You make the decision if you want to send it through Michael Lewis, or if you want it as a handout, or if you want to use Everydoor Direct. But simply go to EDDM.USPS.com and register. It's free, it's no charge. And then you go to Michael Lewis. You should have this if you're with KW, and you can upload. And with Michael Lewis, you can also create your own postcard and upload your own designs. So any questions, just reach out to me at 248-291-8057.